Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to new viewers, welcome to existing ones. And today I'm going to be talking about why is it important to connect and how do we connect. And I'm going to be talking to Sherii, a lady from the United States that I got to know from the Facebook group, the over 40 creators, YouTube creators. So why is it important to connect and how do we connect? Personally, very briefly, it's important to connect because, well, we are human beings and we need to connect with other people. There is no two ways about it, right? But even more so now because of confinement. So we need to do
right.
Okay. So over to you, Sherii. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Roger.
Yeah. Okay. And welcome. So why is it important to connect and how do we connect? Yeah. Personally, I love connecting with people from all over the world, from different cultures and things like that. Yeah. And
well, thank you so much for having me on your channel and collaborating with me today to talk about communication. It's something that I too am very involved in, even in my calling. It's all about communication and getting the word out. So I believe that communication is very important, but this also is a form of us networking and getting to know. I get to know your YouTube friends and you get to know mine whenever we have collaborated like we have today. So the internet and Zoom conference meetings have been so valuable during this time of quarantine and being safe. This has been a literal lifesaver to help us to stay in communication with other human beings, which I think is very important for us to have that communication, don't you?
oh, perfectly. I mean, at the end of the day, we are social animals. Is that
exactly?
Yeah, we need to meet people. Obviously, Zoom doesn't replace the face-to-face contact, but at the end of the day, you are on the other side of the Atlantic, so it's very useful to have this wonderful tool, and it's being used such a lot. But for me, using Zoom or other platforms, mainly Zoom, it's a lifesaver, to be honest, because even when I talk to my family in France, to my dad every day, I talk to my brother quite regularly, and he said that to me today. You know, without the internet and all that, it would be very, very, very difficult. But it would be, because I'd be like living.
Absolutely.
I would be living like in next to a complete isolation, and that's no good for anyone. It's just no good for anyone.
Isolation. It can be depressing to be isolated and shut off. Even as a family cell. For instance, my husband and myself live in the same house, as does my mother. But even with us, of the cell of us three people, even though we're with humans, you know, it is so important for us to reach out with those phone calls, with those, we have like messenger videos and the Zoom, all of these things they were very important to us to stay in contact with our families.
Yes, and
our church members.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so why is it important to connect? But because I mean, there is going to be another pandemic, in my opinion. That's going to be mental health pandemic, because unfortunately a lot of people have taken their lives. Domestic violence is on the up, and whether we are in the UK, in France, and I'm sure it's the same in the United States, because you know it's not normal. What we're going through, it's not natural.
It isn't.
No, and then, for example, because when I was looking after my wife, and all that, because she was not very well, but when I was looking after her, for example, I used to go to the coffee shop to do a couple of hours work on any given task, yes, but I like the buzz around me. Yeah, the noise of the barista, you know, when they made a coffee,
Exactly.
the noise of the door when when somebody comes in, and with all that buzz around me, he actually helped me to concentrate. And then because it's like we are getting energy from other human beings. But when you are on your own in the house, you can't get energy from anyone. But saying that, I've got my pet now. I've got my cat Harlequin, and she's been with me for about 2 months now. But you know, even her is a great comfort. Yeah, it's
Animals are comfort animals, and as you know, we've talked about it before. I have a AAA dog, which she goes into nursing homes and to hospitals, preschools. You know, those times, people like your wife, who you were taking care of. I mean, she had her own because isolation because of her condition, and the same is that just encourages us to know that if we feel like this while we are shut in, that is how people who are needing assistance with you know, assisted living homes, and they've been placed in these assisted livings or nursing homes, that inspires us. Now we know what it's like to just be shut in from the world. It inspires us to go out and be a companion or visit with them. And I take my animal in, and my dog, she ministers to people in these places.
yeah. And then yeah, you're right, because my wife was quite depressed. Yeah, and then she used to
Yeah,
have,
it's not, you're sick and then you don't get communication with outside people. You
yeah.
kind of get forgotten almost, except for by the caretaker, which was you in your instance. I'm sure that she probably had guests, but you lose your freedom to be mobile. And there is a lot to be said about our mobility, and we take for granted the freedom that we have. We all took it for granted, the freedom of mobility, the freedom of socialization, the freedom of just going to a restaurant. How much do we take that for granted now that it's not as accessible?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We take it for granted. Like me going to the coffee shop, sitting down for a couple of hours, paying the
Yeah,
fee for 2 or 3 hours, and make sure I do the work there. And then suddenly I can do that. Then and then Gwen Joy was where she had a PA, what we call a PA in this country. I don't know if it's the same in the USA. A personal assistant, so it's like a care worker.
oh yes.
Yeah, and. And she really bonded with Gwen. Actually, I texted her today, and then anyway, a lovely young woman. And so
Okay.
Gwen's pleasure was to go to the supermarket Sainsbury's. Why Sainsbury's? Not because of the price, but because of the space. And it was very easy for her on the electric scooter to go around, because they have electric scooters in the shop. So she go on that and go around. It's very spacious and all that, and then we had something to eat before Alicia and Gwen went shopping. We had something to eat in the canteen there in the restaurant, but the restaurant
Right.
is not even open now because of all this going on. And
Right.
and then you're right, we take it for granted, just there.
We take it for granted.
And then suddenly, so my wife passed away just before all this became official. But I don't think she would have been able to go through that. I doubt it very much.
That your wife, was she very social?
Oh yeah, she's a very social woman. It's not that, but her confidence took a dip because, you know, of her not being well and that kind of thing. Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah. Oh no, otherwise she was very social. Yeah, absolutely, and she had a very big heart. It's not. It's much more because of her illness that. So then on top of that, if she
But
had
for
gone,
those of us, Roger, who aren't ill and then being, you know, sort of sequestered in, that's very, you know, it's been very hard. But so these type of communications have been a godsend. That is for sure.
yeah, okay, so
Be able to, you know, be face to face, at least on a media, if
yeah,
not in person.
yeah, it's actually the second best thing, because without this, because sometimes, like everybody else, I get a bit fed up with all this. Yeah. And
now, are your guidelines lifting at all in France?
in France, yeah, they've got but the rules are different to the rules that we have in the UK. So, for example, for my dad, he said, well, he doesn't move out of the house. No, he does sometimes with some help because he's
yeah, in the UK. I mean, are you guys like, are they real strict there? Because like some states in the United States are a lot stricter than other states. For instance, California. I don't live in California, but California, they still have rigid quarantine restrictions. Here in the Midwest, ours are starting to lift slowly. I mean, they have not lifted 100%, but they're slowly lifting, and it's giving us some breathing room. You know, we can go to the store, we can go to a restaurant.
Oh yeah, that's good. I think that's missing here because in both we have some rules here which contradict themselves. For example, the R rate was quite high in Bolton, then it went down. So it's going down now. And then the point is the restaurants here in the borough, they can only do takeaways. Whereas
right.
But some other restaurant in other parts of the Northwest, for example, they got a higher rate, and yet the restaurant can open.
So what is your area like? Are they in the more strict area, or are they in the looser guidelines that are lifting now?
Well, we can go shopping. We can meet up to 6 people. That's the general rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have some pretty strict guidelines.
Oh yeah, it's still some pretty strict guideline, absolutely. And yeah, it's still pretty strict. So yeah, you're right. But I think hopefully, yeah, but because people can't carry on living like that.
Right.
In my opinion, I mean, okay, there is a virus. I'm not going to ignore it, obviously, because it's there. No, I'm not. Right. I'm not ignoring the fact that there is one. But the point is in some government event, they haven't put coronavirus at the top of the list in terms of on how serious it is. So it makes you wonder sometimes. Yeah.
Right. Control, if it's a control thing, but some of it, you know what I mean? But I think some of it they're reaching and trying to be like as careful as possible to the point of extreme, and then some aren't even having any guidelines at all, so that's kind of lax. I like to find a balance.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're absolutely right. I think you actually nailed it on this one. Yeah, it's a balance, absolutely. And then I think the Swedish people, they found a balance because they adopted a totally different way of doing it, and now they created some kind of
and I think that people can strike their own balance. I think if you are afraid, if you have low immunities, if you are, susceptible to getting ill or to being ill, or one of the higher risks, such as elderly or those who are immune deficient, then I can see why someone like that is going to be a lot safer than someone, that is healthy and does not have those same concerns. So I think it's individual at one point also.
Yeah, you're right. It's up to the individual. I totally agree with you. And then
but first of all, it goes by the requirements and the mandates and things like that. Obviously you want to be in accordance, but I'm saying then after that, say they lift the restrictions and you don't feel like you're ready to get out, or someone else doesn't feel, that's their choice. To me, I feel like if that's what you still feel, you should still be able to stay, where you're at, if that's what makes you feel safe. But if I feel safe going out, then that should be okay too.
Yeah, I totally agree with you actually, because even in the past, when we didn't speak about any pandemic as such, well, we did, but not to the extent of this one. But for example, when you have the flu, yeah, and then you feel very cold and all that, but you don't go out. You stay at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So why don't we do the same for this? You know,
And I honestly, I feel like some people who had the flu, and especially when it comes to work, Roger, you know, in the workplace, I think a lot of people with the flu would go on to work. And I'm not talking about this coronavirus. I'm talking about before coronavirus, people would go to work because they had to be at work, or they would be like pressured by their bosses for missing work, so they'd go to work sick, and then everybody else in the office gets the same thing they had. I think some of that is maybe going to be prevented of just like our regular flus, because now everyone is so conscious of a virus. I think that that is one positive thing that we can take from this.
Oh yeah, that's a good
That
point.
people will be more careful about spreading viruses in general, not just coronavirus.
No, you're
And
absolutely
washing their hands and things like that. They'll be more conscious, won't they?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because I was a bit like that. Sometimes we don't, because it's never been in the media before, like as it is now.
I mean, raise your hand if you've ever been to work and went to work even though you were sick before coronavirus. We probably can all raise our hand that we powered through.
No, you're right. And then, for
But
example,
now it's like, stay home. And I would never go out if I even had the inkling of that I've had any type of, you know, symptom. I would not ever go around people at this point. Would you?
no, I wouldn't know if I knew I had some symptoms and stuff like that. No, I wouldn't.
So I think that is kind of a benefit once this is behind us, and I believe it'll be behind us. I believe we have a way to go, but I believe it's going to be behind us.
And
Don't you?
Yeah, I really do hope so. Some people I know are a lot more pessimistic than I am. Yeah,
I am believing that it's going to be behind us, but who knows? Who knows? But I will say that I like to look at the positive. And that's what I did right there, as I was looking at the positive. And I'm looking at the positive that I met you. The reason I got on YouTube and started getting more serious about my channel was because I had more time, because I was at home. And I guarantee you a good percentage of people who started YouTube channels and started getting serious around in March of 2020, I guarantee you it was because we had time. But look, I met you, you met me, we've met Annie Dubé, we've met others in our over 40 group, and it's been, we can look at that as a positive, right?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And then I had a video call with Quincy earlier about the challenges we are giving each other, and I think it's great. Without that over 40 group, that wouldn't have happened, and then probably without this confinement thing, that maybe wouldn't have happened, because I would have done other things that I am
There
used
you
to
go.
do. Yeah. So yes, I think we
Me
take
too.
the positive out of it. Okay. So in conclusion, what we could say really, why is it important to connect and how to connect? Well, it's important because then we're social animals, so we have to connect.
Right. We need each other.
We need each other, absolutely. We cannot live without other people. And how do we connect? Well, how do we connect? By obviously to accept other people for who they are. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Acceptance, I think, is very important in my opinion.
It's respect.
Yeah. Acceptance and respect. So that perhaps the two key words we could give to our viewers tonight: accept and respect. And how do
respect
we
differences.
Yeah.
And even opinions, like we talked about, where some people want to be really safe and other people are just, you know, they feel not as much fear. So respect them, that they're trying to be as careful as they can, but they don't have to be as safe as you, and vice versa. If someone wants to be ultra safe, I'm not upset with them.
No, absolutely right. Okay. And okay, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. And
yes, thanks.
Please do leave some comments below.
Yes.
Press that bell so we can reach out more people. And thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you, Roger.
And thank you, Sherii, for being on here for this great collaboration. And I'm sure we can perhaps do some more in the future. And,
I hope so.
And And you know what, everyone all over the world, have a great day, a great night, depending on the time of your country. So bye for now.
Absolutely. And be safe.